Serious, people that have choose to willingly engage in incest. Why? Has it affected your life, positively or negatively? My cousin and I grew up only seeing each other once every few years, and we were always a little too close when we did get together. We made out in our grandmother's basement when we were maybe 13 or 14. About 3 years ago we had sex twice one night, then last summer we had sex again. We have never felt bad about it and will sometimes text and send each other videos and pictures. We love each other very much and are very supportive of each other. Apparently our uncle saw something the first night we had sex because he said something to my cousin about it. We don't know for sure if he said anything, but we are pretty sure other people in our family know. We have always been teased about being kissing cousins, so maybe no one was surprised to find out we actually went through with it. I created a throwaway for obvious reasons. Just for this post because I do not want this to be connected with my general account. When I was in middle school, my brother and I always had contention with our neighbors with how life should be and how we should be allowed to act as we were. We hated them. 3 males, 1 female, because they made life a living hell for my brother and I for the longest ducking time. We never did anything to them, so they had it coming, and I wasn't holding a secret for these duckheads anyways. So here it goes. While I was still forcefully active in the LDS church, I was preparing the bread for the sacrament and I saw the eldest boy neighbor, let's call him Bob, crying while walking back from our bishop's office. Said bishop loved the kid and always hated me and believed that my brother and I would rot in hell. He is probably right. Well, things were a little heated between us still, and I decided to do a little digging about said Bob, just to find out why he was crying and what he did exactly. This is where things got nasty. I somehow got Bob's younger brother to tell me what was going on in said Bob's life. Let us call Bob's little brother Rick. Well, Rick tells me that he walked in on Bob and his young sister doing the ducking nasty. And I mean nasty because she and him were both gross. Well, anyways, I guess that this has been happening for a while, and that said Bob finally accidentally told a mutual friend about it. Said friend told the church leaders, and yeah, the sick ducking part of it is that the church covered it up. It was, well, not exactly wanted from the sister, but still willing to satisfy her brother's needs. Keep in mind I was 13 at the time and didn't really know what sex was yet, and still haven't experimented in any way yet. Fast forward 4 years. The same thing happened again. Heard the gossip in high school and decided to let everyone know that he is a pig. Fast forward another 2 years and the dude gets married. Apparently him and the sister still ducking do it all the time. I know this because the youngest brother told me about marks his sister makes to ensure people believe her. Yeah. I skipped town the first ducking chance I got. Our incest. I guess I'll share this. So when I was 7 I would go over to my older cousin's house. I'm pretty sure she wasn't my cousin, but my dad was stupid, and we would play games. Well, I don't know what happened, but we decided to play lick the bladder. Cause I thought D&V were bladders. Licked each other's, and our parents found out. So we stopped. We don't talk anymore and she has moved away so she can train to be a veterinarian nurse. Just to clarify, by games I mean video games. Specifically we party. I honestly think it was just sexual experimentation. I used to hook up with another male cousin when we were kids. We used to mess around and stuff. We're cool, no regrets. So 20ish years ago my parents divorced and remarried. I was living between parents but spent less time with one of them. One summer I ended up staying a bit more with my parent where my stepsister lived. We hadn't known each other for too long before this. I was 16, and think she was 13. We were left alone as our parents worked and school was out. We went and rented movies from the apartment's clubhouse a lot and went to the pool, and over the summer we grew closer and would hold hands and stuff here and there. Shortly after summer our parents moved into a house. Neither of us lived full time there. There was still a closeness and I don't recall exactly what led to it, but we ended up hooking up once. It was a positive experience for both of us at the time but didn't continue for fear of being found out. I think our parents suspected we were a bit closer than we should be, but it never was spoken about. Neither her or I spoke about it at all for probably 15 years. We never really lived in the same house at the same time. It never really made things awkward between us after that, and we both kind of acted like it never happened. We have since each married others and had kids. A few years ago she brought it up. Said she didn't regret it and I was a good little first boyfriend at the time. I'll admit it felt a little awkward to talk about. The talk was pretty brief. We both asked and we each said we hadn't told anyone else. I've thought about telling my wife a couple times but never have and likely never will. Will admit, I've thought once or twice it would be fun to give her another go. But the odds of that actually happening I'm sure are zero. Has it affected my life? I kind of don't think it really has. I don't think about it a ton but it's a fond memory. Thanks internet, kind of good to tell that one at least once. Throw away for obvious reasons. I have an identical twin sister and we've always shared a sort of intimate bond. I mean, not that stereotypical movie telepathy bullet, but we've been best friends for as long as I can remember. And no topic of conversation has ever been out of bounds. I started really coming into my own sophomore year of high school, as I was finally starting to get a sense of who I was, what my interests were, figuring out my sexuality, etc. I lost my virginity earlier that year which came up as a point of discussion, but my feelings were pretty much all over the place and I didn't know if I was attracted to only men, if I was bisexual, or if one of my then crushes meant maybe something more than that. Basically I was shy, awkward, and didn't know how to come out. Actually, I wasn't even entirely sure if I needed to. So I straight up asked my sister if I could try kissing her to see how it felt. I know, weird, right? But being identical, we both agreed that there wasn't that visceral sense of disgust. I always felt that I was attractive, which translated into thinking of her in the same way. It wasn't any more weird than looking in the mirror and seeing yourself naked, you know? Anyway, that kiss led to repeated hookups on and off over the next few years as we both found ourselves outside of other relationships. I don't regret it for a second. Not only was it an important period of exploration, but I honestly feel that the shared experience made us closer than ever. It's not something we're open about and remains an inside secret. Besides, it's not like we could get each other pregnant. And let's face it, deformed babies are always the #1 argument the anti-incest crowd jumps to. Sibling 6 can be Sappho 6 too. People. Does it count that I have masturbated together with my sister? No touching. Things just got steamy after watching porn and talking about sex. Small amount of alcohol was involved. I really enjoyed it and would do again. Might even go further. Who knows? If anything, it brought us closer. Edit. F/27. Edit 2. More details. Here. Congrats. You got a whole new throwaway for this one. Because I don't even want this attached to my usual alt account. I'll keep the details minimum but I'm kind of interested in telling this story because I've literally no one to talk to about it. Not even him. I was in my early teens. I was at the beach with much of my extended family. We were largely left to our own devices. My cousin was not yet 18. I remember his age specifically because he couldn't buy cigarettes yet. Jokes about sex turned into a discussion about sex. I asked him a lot of questions and he gave me a lot of answers. This went on for a while, like over several days, until the topic of masturbation came up. One thing led to another and we were talking about DEs, specifically size. I remember being worried about mine being small and he told me I could show him and he'd tell me. So I did. I wasn't hard at the time. And he said it looked normal and if I was a grower like he was I was in good shape. I didn't know what a grower was. So he explained but I still didn't really understand. He asked if he could show me. I said okay. And he demonstrated the gap in size from flaccid to erect. And I ended up doing the same to mine. We compared. He showed me different techniques to masturbate. And we ended up doing them on each other. This happened next summer too. And the summer after that. Never more than handjobs and mutual masturbation. The 4th summer my grandparents sold the house and we only went down the shore for a day at a time here and there. My cousin and I don't talk about it. I'm in my late 20s now. Honestly, I enjoyed it. I learned a lot. I don't feel like he took advantage of me. And the second year I was the one who initiated our activities. And he was the one who was a little hesitant at first. I chalk it up to young sexual experimentation. It's like it never happened. And my cousin and I get along just fine. Never did commit it but my aunt thought my brother, sister, and I were doing incest because we mostly hang around with ourselves and not talk to anyone else. We're just awkward people, that's all. I'm a bit of a late bloomer and confessed to some guys at a party that I was still a virgin, and naturally some were like, wow, that's weird, dude. And one of them said I lost my virginity when I was 12. Dude, so I said Jesus. Duck. What? And he explained when he was 12 he flirted with his 13-year-old cousin and they had sex. You. Not exactly what you're asking, but I dated my cousin for a while. I will just call him Jay. He is my stepfather's nephew, so there is no blood relation. Jay is 8 years older than me and was in the Marines when I was a teenager, so I didn't really know him then. However, when I was about 27, he was going through a divorce while I was going through a messy on again off again thing. He randomly emailed me one day and we started talking, and at first that's all it was. Then I was going to his house all the time. One night I went over to his house and he gave me a very intimate massage. Still hands down the best massage I have ever received. At that point I started accepting that there was plenty of chemistry between us, but I still didn't try anything because OMG, he's my cousin. One night mom sent me to get something from his house and I was literally at his house maybe 3 minutes when he said he just couldn't stop himself, then kissed me. And my response was to grin, say damn, and bolt out the door. Shortly after that, I went on a trip to visit my friend who lived about 6 hours away. The day I came back he sent me a text saying hurry home to me, and at that point I knew the on off thing would be permanently off. So about a week after that the guy who I had ended things with decides to attempt to kill himself because of me and ended up in a mental facility, and Jay literally held me together through it. He was this tough as nails former Marine, but he knew when someone needed to be comforted, and that was nice. During this time I stayed at his house almost every night. We hadn't done more than make out and fool around until one night we were fooling around and I told him to just stop and duck me already. It was grade 6 with Jay was always good. He was so ducking attentive. I was his main concern when we had sex. He wasn't worried about getting his. He always did though. Some of the best sex I have ever had was with my cousin. I don't regret it. It was fun and adventurous. We stopped because we were both just stepping stones for each other. He needed to move past a cheating wife and I needed to move past being a second choice for someone, and we both accomplished those things because of each other. I would do it again in a heartbeat. My friends make fun of me for it. Not seriously, but just kind of little jabs. It's always weird explaining when new people come around and my friends throw out a cousin ducker joke. Like, yeah, I ducked my cousin but he's not really my cousin. So yeah, it was a positive experience. Would do it again, no hesitation. Not worthy of a throwaway account. But when I was like 6, me and a female cousin, I don't know if she really was a cousin, but explored each other in a shed down in Arkansas. We haven't talked since. I think my mom's mom, my grandma, found me in the shed with my D out in front of the cousin and yelled at me, and I said something like I was just going pee. Nothing more came of it. 10/10 would do again.